Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first event in our Tech Talk series. We are so grateful and excited for each of you to be joining us from all around the world today. And what is this all about? Freight Farms, as many of you know, is dedicated to continuously innovating and evolving our container farm. And the team has been hard at work over the past 2 years to bring you what you are about to see. Earlier this month, we released our latest iteration of container farming technology, the Greenery S. And today we're going to give you a walkthrough of the newest features of both the hardware and the software. And this is the first installment in our event series. So over the course of the next few months, we'll be diving into each pillar of the greenery a little bit deeper in shorter events to give you a much more in-depth look into everything. So let's get started. To introduce myself really quickly, my name is Caroline Katsarubis. I am Freight Farm's Director of Marketing and Community Relations. Joining me to lead us through this experience today is the team behind the technology. We have Freight Farm's co-founder and COO, John Friedman, our lead industrial designer, Derek Baker, and our head of product, Eric Ludwig. John will kick things off with opening remarks. Derek will then tour us through the Greenery S, highlighting the new features and the design thinking behind them. And then Eric will showcase our latest farmhand software and the capabilities it unlocks within the farm. At the end of the event, we will have a live question and answer session. So please feel free to submit your questions as they come up in that little Q&A panel. And this whole event is recorded and we'll be sending it out to you later this week. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce John, who co-founded Freight Farms nearly a decade ago and has been the mastermind behind the inception of the container farm. So John, take it away. But you have to unmute first.
Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate that very kind intro. And hello, everybody from around the world. We're so excited to have you guys be joining us and to be able to share a lot about what we are coming out with this spring and what we've been working on. If you're new to Freight Farms, if this is your first time kind of spending a minute to learn more, you're definitely going to hear a lot about the ins and outs of the tech today, but there will be other opportunities to either reach out to the people who you see here or our sales team to find out more about the stories of our customers and other ways that you can run a business with our platform. So to get into a little bit of the background about who we are and why we are, our company started really to figure out ways to make farming more accessible, to democratize farming as a whole, let people get into the practice, let people build a business around the practice. And when I started, one of the big things that was really surprising to me was how many barriers to entry agriculture has. Agriculture seems like this very friendly, very warm thing to us. This is where our food comes from. But to get started, you need land, you need a lot of capital, the structure that you need, the place in the world that you need to be just to grow things. All these really challenging entry points were something that I was really surprised about. So we turned to the shipping container because what we found there was a place that we could create a unique environment, and actually many unique environments, and we could ship all around the world so that more than one person could have a platform similar to somebody else. When we think about farms as they are today, they're all in unique spots around the world, and they're all unique just in shape, form, size, and composition. So moving to something that is standardized helped us actually bring this to a lot more people and find just more ways to get people into farming as a whole. So that's really what our company has become. It's been a really interesting journey coming from the first shipping container to now really building a platform to get more people involved and help more people grow whatever their opportunity is in the supply chain. So we do that in a couple ways. So we do that with a farm. You're going to hear a lot about the Greenery S and the precision we can bring in that environment to unlock a whole new range of plants and potential growth opportunities. Farmhand, which is our farm management system, but it also has a lot of cool features for automation and running your organization. And services. We want to make sure that anybody has the same shot at a really profitable or successful farming operation. So we do training not only online, but in person and virtually now with remote capabilities. So just in the past few years, we have really expanded our network of growers, and we've actually learned a lot more about who and what and where farming like this is applicable. I think everybody has seen in the past year that the centralized system has a lot of limitations on our diet, on our availability of certain crops, and potentially on our businesses. So we've just seen more unique opportunities spring up where the central distribution system or supply is failing. This is where our farmers and the people we've met, people who aren't farmers, have seen a big opportunity to grow their business and grow their opportunity by unlocking the power of plants that really wasn't possible before. So in the past year, we've added over 100 new farmers to our network, and they're growing all sorts of things. So when we started, we were thinking leafy greens, herbs, this would be like the main thing. Well, now we do radishes, flowers, all sorts of crops, even crops that actually bear fruit. So we are really interested to see what you're going to do and talk to you about your application downstream and how the S can actually power that innovation. So let's get into the S. So that's exactly why we made an upgraded version of the S. We really want to drive the performance, not only of plants, but also allow people to get in there at any range of background. We found that streamlining a lot of our systems actually helps us unlock higher level of precision, which really pulls out different characteristics in plants and characteristics in growth stages. So by really dialing in those things, we've been able to push things much harder. And we've also made it a lot more accessible by streamlining things, really making it more intuitive. So this could be used from classroom to corporate campus to a professional growing application. Go next. So one of the things that we've learned over the years is that farming is not just there's not just a single point. This is a system of systems. So by really looking at every part of the system, the S has some level of upgrade in each connected system. So what you're going to hear about today is you're going to get a zoom in of each one of these pieces of the puzzle. This is something we don't normally do. We don't normally kind of give this in-depth look of inside the container and inside each one of these systems, but we've got some awesome people on the team who are here to share kind of what those little tweaks are and how that's going to affect you. Next. Awesome. And I think one of the big things that we're excited about today is this is our first introduction to you about what the Greenery is. And hopefully we're gonna have some time at the end for Q&A and hopefully get to talk to you after, feel more about what it means for you to be a farmer and kind of where you're gonna use this application. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have time to talk about a few applications at the end, but this is really the exciting part for us, is meeting people that the Greenery S is for. So I think I'll pass to Caroline for a look at our systems within the S and how that translates to the design.
Yes, so these are the pillars that I was referencing at the beginning of this event. So our event series today is the overview of everything. And then over the course of the next few months, we're going to have events on each one of these specialized systems, from air to light, water, space, and then control. The best person to walk us through pretty much everything related to the Greenery is Derek, who is our lead industrial designer, who has spent so many hours over the past 7 years, like diving in and designing our technology. So Derek, I am going to let you take it away from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Caroline. And if you could actually just jump back a couple slides real quick for me, that would be amazing. Yeah, so actually even one more would be great. Thank you. Thank you guys, appreciate the pass off. This slide really says it all in a lot of ways. When designing the Greenery S, we had a huge focus on maximizing the performance of each and every system within the Greenery, the HVAC, the irrigation, the lighting, etc. Ensuring that we're constantly updating to add more control, more range, more resilience, and intelligence into our farms. But We also put a huge emphasis on designing the space so that you can get in there and easily perform the tasks while in the farm. It's crazy to think that this is already the third iteration of the greenery in not even 2 years. We've really learned a lot and built upon everything. And all this, although this farm shares the name of its predecessor, the S brings an entirely new level of design, control, robustness, and ease of use to our already industry-leading growing platform. With an overhaul to our farmhand software, paving the way, we're able to build new and exciting tech that can be continually elevated and improved as you grow with your farm. We released the greenery in the early summer of 2019, and it was the manifestation of nearly a decade of research, design, testing, innovation, with the mission to be the world's most productive container farm ever. And it really did just that, with a huge increase in plant capacity, upgraded performance and efficiency of each and every system, all while decreasing the time spent in the farm. The greenery proved its performance and its potential impact right from launch. With over, like John said, 100 of these greeneries now across the globe, we have seen the remarkable ways that they're being used to challenge the status quo, to create impactful and positive change in communities that desperately need it, and to continue to show us new and innovative ways this technology can be implemented. Every day, our customers, and hopefully you someday, are showing us ways that the greenery really can impact and help the world. Our customers have made it so clear that the greenery was the platform for us to continue to build on, and the S does just that. It builds upon all of the amazing technology already in the greenery while introducing an entirely new suite of features driven by a new and upgraded technology paired with the robust power of farmhand, which we'll talk about in a little bit. This farm is not just a refinement of the Greenery S once again redefines what it means to be a farmer. And how does it do that? We kind of mentioned it here with the different pillars. The Greenery S achieves this through a variety of additions and upgrades. We've implemented a brand new adaptive climate control system. We've reimagined a new level of control in your LED system. We've redesigned our nursery stations look and function while bringing all new features to the table, quite literally, and expanded our network of sensors to give farmhand and you even more insight into your grow, as well as building the platform for an infinite amount of future features that we can release to your existing product, all built on top of the Greenery S. Starts with the HVAC, with the adaptive climate system in CEA, or controlled environment agriculture. Precise control of your atmospheric conditions is imperative to ensuring that you're creating a perfectly cultivated crop. And the Greenery S brings this precision through a completely re-engineered HVAC system. The Greenery S can mimic nearly any growing environment, increasing the catalog of crops that can efficiently grow in our system. To do this, it all started with the physical unit. We have introduced a completely new all-in-one heating, cooling, dehumidifying HVAC unit that alone gives the greenery an extended range of atmospheric conditions that it can replicate, making it almost impossible to find a crop condition that the S isn't capable of generating, all while performing with a level of robustness that we've never seen before, and this industry hasn't seen before. Some of those features include, we have reoriented the supply and return to maximize efficiency, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Added a heating element to ensure further manipulation of the humidity and temperature no matter your location and the climate of your location. Introduced 2 levels of airspeed to fine-tune the introduction of environmental conditions, creating a more uniform and stable environment with much smoother transitions that results in less stress to the system and to the plants and to your electrical bill. We increased the reliable operating range to be -30 degrees Fahrenheit to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and added a manual intake vent for an emergency cooling situation. We've also replaced electronic sensors with mechanical refrigerant fluid valves that will not freeze by utilizing this mechanical bypass. There's a lot stake in there, but it all comes into being better crops. And how it does this, well, it wasn't just the unit. We needed to redesign the container and the growing space to reimagine from just being a container to being a robust insulated room, and an integrated growing vessel, really. So we redesigned the container to include ducted airways inside the walls and the floors, allowing us to direct the air exactly where it's needed, so that we can maintain a consistent and uniform growing environment. So here's how it works. The air is pulled from the grow space. Oh no. Sorry, if we could skip back there. Let's see if this little animation here will work. Just click on the image itself, Caroline. Yeah, the air is pulled from the grow space. Oh no.
No.
That's all right. Well, if you just go back there and hold on to the image, it just gives us zoom ins of what I'm saying. Just gives us zoom ins of these different things, and this picture will suffice. It's pulled from the airspace, from the grow space in the right side of the image here, from the internal space into the unit where it's heated or cooled, depending on your environmental setting. So we're showing a blue arrow there for cooling, but that it could be either. That now treated air, whether it's warm or cold, is redirected into the rear wall of the farm, which is this recessed sort of air cavity. And then it travels down into the floor. So completely out of the growing environment into a self-enclosed ducted space beneath the floor. And it'll travel up to the cargo doors. We'll exit that floor exactly into the grow space through a exit air manifold there. That now cool air will be dispersed within the seedling area, slowly with a series of fans that help sort of push it along, as well as some other fans that provide just passive air over the plants itself. It will be pulled through the canopy back towards that return register that's located in the top right of that image there, where it will be pulled back in the unit, retreated, and sent back through our integrated ducted container. Yeah, so this has been a meticulously designed and tested HVAC solution so that we can ensure that you're able to grow any crop and maintain that environment that crop needs with complete confidence and control. This is something we're really, really proud about. It's something that is been a hard nut to crack, and we've really achieved it here on the S. And we're very excited to see the different plants and crop varieties that you're all going to be growing by utilizing this extra range of adaptive climate controlling. All right, so when it comes to creating and maintaining growing conditions specific to your crops, the lighting environment might be second to none. The atmospheric conditions are super important, but the lighting is our sun. So we're creating sun in the farm, and being able to customize that lighting spectrum, its intensity and the duration of light has the biggest impacts on the plant's ability to grow to its ideal size, color, texture, all while building this robust flavor and maximizing its nutritional content. And the S again takes a huge leap in our LED technology. We have worked diligently to not only improve the intensity of the light and its efficiency, but for the first time, we've built in a level of control with our LED systems that through farmhand, that will allow the system to hone in on the exact level of light the plants want, while allowing you to hone in on the exact amount of power that you want to consume. So what this looks like, it's a 60% increase in light intensity, as well as a 50% increase in diode efficacy since the Greenery was developed. This is a huge leap in our LED technology, and it's opened the doors for us to build multiple lighting modes based on the user and the plant's circumstances. So we have brand new eco, standard, and performance modes that light the way for healthy crops without sacrificing unused energy. This has some really broad-reaching impacts, from controlling the timeline and size of the plant, from seed to harvest, to being able to dial back power in certain circumstances, whether it be to run the farm off alternative energy or simply decrease your electrical cost. We'll go into, Eric's going to go into more detail how farmhand is able to control and utilize these features to bring a new level of dynamic light and power control never seen before, but I'll let him talk about farmhand in a minute here. So the Greenery S continues to build upon its precise hydroponic systems. So we utilize a hydroponic system, which basically means we're working with a nutrient-rich water solution rather than soil to feed our plants. So we have continued to refine that level of precision within our system, delivering the perfectly conditioned nutrient-enriched water to our nursery and cultivation areas by utilizing two different water loops or zones. First, in our nursery station, you'll see we utilize a form of hydroponics called ebb and flow. which consists of flooding a trough below our seedlings, so below those trays there, and soaking the plugs that those seedlings sit in, allowing the roots of the plants to access that nutrient-rich water before that water will then drain down back into the tank. But before we deliver that water, it goes through a series of steps to ensure it's exactly what the plants want. And this is as follows. We have two water reservoirs in our farm, one for our main cultivation area and one for our nursery. And we'll talk about why a little bit, mostly because they require different nutrient levels. So we split those zones. Each of those tanks are outfitted with a liquid pressure sensor that monitors the volume of the water constantly. This is paired with a smart valve that when the farm is hooked up to a water supply, it will automatically open and fill your tanks to the proper level, ensuring that you never run out of water. That's step one. This fresh water that is now constantly pumped, once it's in the tank, it's constantly pumped into our nutrient and dosing cabinet, which is located, as you can see here, on the right side of our nursery station, where the water conditions are constantly monitored, and then the proper nutrients are dispensed into the lines that will then return that nutrient-rich water to the respective tanks. Once those nutrients reach the tank, and then they are mixed in to the water utilizing a series of air pumps, they will create this uniform mixture of nutrients and water, sort of a nutrient slurry. Now that water is ready to be delivered to the plants. And that's how we do it in the nursery station, utilizing that ebb and flow scenario. In the cultivation area, which consists of the 88 vertically oriented plant panels, uses the same autofill nutrient monitoring and recirculation system, but reorients the water delivery to the plants utilizing our vertical drip irrigation system. So this system involves pumping the water up above our plant panels and using pressure regulated emitters that you can see in this image to just drip that water slowly and consistently out. And those drip at a rate of 2 gallons per hour. And that'll saturate a strip that you can kind of see there sticking above the foam. This strip will saturate the full length of the panel, allowing the plants to absorb that nutrient-rich water that are growing out of each of those channels. Any water that's not captured by those plants or transpired into the air will funnel back to the bottom below the panel into a gutter that will return it to the tank for it to be sent back past our series of sensors, added nutrients if you experience nutrient loss, and pump back up to the plants for it to recirculate constantly and consistently. This is a really energy efficient way to grow plants, as you can imagine, and that's why we're utilizing hydroponics in our farms here today. But this drip irrigation system is really brought to life and brought to its full potential by being paired with our custom plant panel. There's 88 of these removable and interchangeable panels. They're 7 feet tall, 1 foot wide, and consist of 5 growing channels. These give you and your plants a huge variety of planting structures to follow in order to maximize your space in your farm. Wherever, whether you're direct seeding in each of those 5 channels, maybe doing an array planting for something like lettuce, which utilizes channels 1, 3, and 5 to give that plant space to breathe, space to grow, or doing that similar array cropping planting and then intercropping in channels 2 and 4 with some of our root vegetables that you saw some earlier, whether it be turnips or radishes or carrots. This panel provides the customization that you need to organize your growth for any crop type and really maximize the yields you're getting by taking advantage of every linear inch within this farm. Now, by orienting our cultivation area vertically, we're able to take advantage of the small 320 square footprint that we have inside of our 40-foot container and turn it into about 2 acres worth of annual production. But that production would be worthless if you could not get in and actually access your plants. So again, in the theme of designing for you to perform your tasks, we solve this problem by allowing each of our 2 grow rows in our central LED wall to be moved left or right in order to create the workspace where you need it. So by simply turning this hand wheel that you just saw in that image at the front of each of these rows, you're able to create an aisle where you need for tasks such as transplanting and harvesting, as you can see here. And on the right side of this image, you can kind of see an example of some of the configurations that you can have these aisles in, but basically, if any row with plants, you can get access to that easily and create the amount of space to work with multiple people and really expedite your tasks within your farm. This is just another example of the features that we have implemented into the greenery to make it more user-friendly and to be a space where you can perform your tasks easily and efficiently. The other area focused, you will see this come to fruition, is the nursery station. And this has really taken a complete redesign, a complete overhaul from previous designs. And I, in particular, am very proud of this, this piece of the farm, and I hope that you all enjoy working at it. But let's get into it a bit. While a huge focus of the Greenery S was a massive overhaul of our performance systems, we didn't want to stop there. We will continue to define and redefine what a farm can be. We knew it was incredibly important for design to continue to push the envelope on how a farm looks and how you interact with it. And there is no better example of this than the all-new nursery station. The first thing you'll see or notice, if you're familiar with our greenery, especially when you walk into the Greenery S, is how there's nothing on the walls around it. We have worked meticulously to integrate any and all components into that station. And we knew the S needed to provide you the full experience when working at what is become the command center of the Greenery S, ensuring that everything you need is right where you want it to be and out of way when you don't want it. So by creating the standalone and fully integrated design, we have eliminated many of the potential fail points that existed in previous iterations. On the left of this image, you'll see the nursery tank. This should give you guys orientation of the parts of the table itself. On the left, you'll see the nursery tank, which feeds our two independently and automatically controlled ebb and flow troughs, which I mentioned before, which are those two troughs with the seedling trays located in them. To the right is that all new dosing cabinet, which condenses the dosing tanks, the sensors, the nutrient delivery, peristaltic pumps, and recirculation lines for the nursery and main tank, all into one ergonomic package. And then the tool belt in front and storage bins above provide dry and dedicated storage areas for some of those high use items. So if you're harvesting, transplanting, whatever it might be, you get your scissors, your clippers, your cloths, your spray bottles, everything that you need is right there and has a place. Getting into some of the details of the table itself, on the work surface, we have brought some subtle but significant elevation changes into the fold to keep drips isolated to wet zones. So it's perhaps hard to see in this image, but that front work surface actually drops down a little bit to control any drip or water that comes off of your panel, your seedling tray, what have it be, for easy cleanup and easy work to keep your station as clean and to keep the water controlled while you're performing these tasks. Next, you'll see the brand new riser feature, which lives on the back of the table and occupies the space between the doser and the tank. This brand new component brings an entirely new set of functions and features to the station that we're really excited about. First, the riser does just as it says. It provides a raised surface to keep items accessible when performing tasks, whether that be a laptop up there to catalog your harvest, which you may not need anymore, with a farmhand in the fold, which I'm sure we'll get a sneak peek at later, or you have seedling trays that you're utilizing during transplant. The riser keeps your space divided so that you can conquer the task at hand. We've implemented an LED bar within that riser to provide feedback for a few of your most performed tasks. That LED bar can be set to a few different modes, first of which is the illumination mode, to light your workspace for more detailed tasks such as seeding, or used to inspect your harvest before packaging, or simply help you light the surface when doing a deep cleaning. We've also programmed in specific features such as the calibration timer, which gives you a countdown as the timer, gives you a countdown timer as you work through calibration of your EC and your temperature probes and sensors. The final feature of the LED bar is a catalog of preset plant spacing guides that you can cycle through, giving you quick and easy access to the proper spacing within that plant panel, whether you are executing that linear array or intercropping planting I spoke of. We have these presets within that LED bar that will help guide you to ensure that you're giving those plants exactly the right amount of room to grow. And all of these functions are just a click away, click and turn away, while utilizing this LED control dial located just under the right side of the tabletop. So you can cycle through all of those features and get to the one that you need when you need it. And lastly, what really is light without sound? We know that farming in the Greenery S can be a therapeutic, collaborative, engaging, or even euphoric experience, depending on what you're growing. But whatever the mood is in your farm, we wanted to be sure that you had the sound system to match it. So we built 4 full range Bluetooth speakers into the riser to provide that dance beat, the podcast, or the classical music that you want to make farming in the Greenery S a full sensory experience. Now, even with all of these upgrades and additions that we have implemented into the design of the Greenery S, we knew that they would be moot without harnessing the power of farmhand and giving you even more insight into your farm, even more confidence into the your success, and an entirely new level of vision into your operation that will continue to develop and grow with you, constantly increasing the S's performance while minimizing your responsibilities. Now, we did this by adding a huge variety of sensors into the Greenery S, giving farmhand the ability to see and respond in real time. The nursery station is equipped with 6 optical sensors that tell farmhand when the troughs are full and when the nutrient tanks need to be refilled. The dual EC and temp sensors combined with the pH sensor within the dosing cabinet give full insight into the water conditions, ensuring that your water conditions are fine-tuned exactly to your crop's needs. The nursery main tanks are outfitted with those pressure sensors that I mentioned, but they are the most precise pressure sensors that we have ever implemented that give you exact insight into how much water is in or out of your tank at any given time, and provides constant communication to farmhand, letting it know when and how much to fill up your tank so that you never run dry. The main tank utilizes inline sensors to monitor the flow rate of the water to the plants themselves, keeping an eye out for any abnormalities, recognizing pump failure, pressure loss, or potentially even clogs. Last, but certainly not least, save the best for last, we've integrated 2 cameras into the nursery station and 4 into the cultivation area that will give you the visual insight you need into each and every one of your grow zones. Over time, these cameras paired with farmhand abilities will get to know your farm and your crops, allowing us to begin to build identifiers for machine learning so that the farm will know a healthy plant just as well or better than you. Now, with that, I'm going to pass this over to Eric to get into more detail about how farmhand really amplifies all of the incredible tech found in the Greenery S. All you, Eric.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. Hey, everybody. Great to know everybody's out there, even if we can't see you. I'm Eric Ludwig. I'm the head of product at Freight Farms. I am super excited to be here. I was drawn to Freight Farms by the idea and the vision of being able to create sustainable food networks in local places, and to do that well, hopefully also reducing carbon costs. So you just saw some awesome hardware from Derek, like amazing stuff that this farm can do. I'm going to talk about the software and how we use the software to actually manage all these amazing pieces of hardware. So the really awesome thing about the Greenery S and farmhand, is that we built these things up together so we can take advantage of the best parts of each of them by having it all locked together. So because we did that, we're able to really focus on solving the challenges that indoor farmers have and that you might face as you're dealing with, agriculture is not necessarily predictable, but in our system, it's pretty much as close to predictable as you can get. So in our setup, as you saw, there's sensors and there's cameras throughout the whole farm. And so through that, we can measure all the variables that are in the farm. And then because we built these things together, the farm and the software, we can control each of those things. So we can control all the variables in the farm. So I'm going to show you a few pieces of farmhand and talk about how the software can help you as a farmer achieve successful growth environments for the plants that you want to grow. When we talk about farmhand, there's 4 things that we talk about. We talk about control, consistency, clarity, and community. So we'll start with control. Because we built these things together every piece of the equipment is connected to the software, and the software controls every component in the farm. Farmhand as a software visualizes all of that control here for you at a glance. So you can quickly come in and see what's going on, see how every piece of the farm is performing, see what's happening with the plants in the farm. So you can open your Farmhand from anywhere. Charles had a question about remote control. So you can open this from inside the farm. You could open this on the beach, or if you're camping, if you have internet while you're camping, you can open it up and you can look at the pictures of the camera. There's 6 cameras. You can look at all those pictures in the farm. You can look at just again at a glance, see what's happening with your dosing of water and nutrients. You can see all of that just in the software. If you need to turn on or off specific pieces of equipment, again, you can do that from inside the farm in Farmhand, or you can do that from far away. This screenshot is showing you where you would do calibration. And Derek talked a little bit about calibration when he was talking about the nursery table. Calibration is essentially just making sure that your equipment is working as it's intended, and that the pH and the EC levels, temperature levels are really what the sensors are telling you they are. So this is a process that we've streamlined through Farmhand. So we walk you through how to do each of those things. You just click start calibration, you go into it, you pick the thing you want to calibrate, and we just walk you right through it. So it's fairly simple to just actually do that, and you can do that fairly quickly. The truth of Farmhand is that you really shouldn't have to turn on or off specific things in here because of the next pillar that we're going to discuss, which is consistency. So when we talk about consistency, consistency is the ability to have a successful harvest time after time. And because we know you're buying this farm because you maybe want to build a business around this thing, so you need that business to have a predictable output, aka produce, or you're doing something as part of an educational program. Again, you want to be able to actually understand and have a consistent set of outcomes. So this is how we achieve that consistency. We have what we're calling recipes. So a recipe is the thing that encompasses all of the growing conditions inside the farm. So that's the heat of the container, the temperature of the container, the humidity of the container, how much CO2 is present in the container, the lights in the nursery, the lights in the cultivation area, the water, when water is turned on or off, and how much nutrients and what the pH of that water is. Everything is in that recipe. So we're launching Farmhand with a Greenery S with a set of recipes that will enable you to grow kind of our core set of crops. And we're going to be adding to the recipes that are available to you on a regular basis. We're going to take advantage of not only our headquarters farms, where we're doing kind of constant research on what the optimal growing conditions for certain crops are, but we're also going to be learning from the farms in the field that are part of this Farmhand network, so that we can constantly be rolling new recipes out to you, and you can grow new things, or the recipes can be optimized, again, with the goal of helping you create consistent harvest time after time. So the next pillar is clarity. So clarity, we know the activities in your farm, the sensors are generating tons of data, and the activities that you do in the farm are also generating data. Every time you plant something or transplant it or harvest it, you're generating data. And we want to be able to help you visualize that data so that you can use that. Again, if you're driving a business off of this, you need to have a clear understanding of what's happening in your farm. If you're, again, using this for educational purposes, you also want to know what's going on so that you can play with the environment and you can figure out how best to achieve that educational outcome you're looking for. So this is one of the features I think I'm most excited about. This is a feature, I got to work in outdoor agriculture tech before I was at Freight Farms, and farmers in outdoor ag and indoor ag, this feature is something that I think everybody wants, right? Is to understand where your stuff is growing, how long it's been growing, and when it might be ready for harvest. So this feature, our crops page that you're seeing now, is really about scheduling your crop, understanding when it's going to come off, and hopefully know how much you're going to get from that. So yield tracking here. We capture all this stuff here, and then we can show this back to you in the next slide, I think, which is our almanac. So here we're showing you This particular slide of Almanac is not showing you the production data off of that crops page, but we have that as part of the Almanac. This piece of Almanac that we're showing you here is enabling you to do ad hoc analyses of any of the sensors in your farm. So you can generate your own analysis of any of the sensors in your farm to understand how, say, the lights and the CO2 level and the pH are playing off each other. We also prepackage a set of analyses for you so that you can look at that, understand what's going on your farm, and you can download this data so that you can play around with it more if you need more than what we can provide you in farmhand. So that's those are the first three pillars. Our final pillar is community, which we haven't shown here today. But farmhand also has a couple other things which we're not showing you. We have a community where you can go and talk to other farmers. You want to talk to somebody who's growing turnips and you say, hey, how do you do this? Or you want to talk to somebody who has this particular model, or somebody who is selling into, I'm selling to hotels. Are you selling to hotels? Are you selling to CSAs? You want to talk to other farmers, you can do that. We also have some other learning components. So we have a knowledge base where you can go and just get a quick question. Hey, again, I have a question about turnips. Let me go to the turnip section of the knowledge base. Here's all the articles that I could read. And then we also have our academy. So that if you have a new staff person you're bringing on, or new academic year, you want to get your students up to speed, we have a series of courses on how to grow food in your farm that are part of the academy. So that's all part of farmhand. It's one ecosystem that does all of these things for you, right? Again, control, consistency, clarity, and community. So we're going to do a deeper dive on farmhand on a future call, so stay tuned for that. And I can just quick answer Rabah's question. Farm connects to the internet. You have to have an internet connection that you can run to your farm, but inside the farm there is a router. And if your farm is offline, importantly, you can still use farmhand because of that router that's in there. So the software works even if you don't have internet. You can control your farm. The only thing is you can't get that historical data analysis because we are not able to help you with that analysis if your farm's not online. So thanks, everybody. Looking forward to answering questions now or at a future time.
Amazing. Thank you all for walking us through that with so much detail. Just to reiterate, this was the first series. We're going to get to the Q&A in just a second, so keep the questions coming. We've been getting amazing ones. But just to reiterate, we are going to be diving deeper into each one of these topics over the next few months, and you've already registered for all of them. So don't worry, you will be getting email reminders about all of the following events. So let's jump into the question portion of everything. Wow, we've got a lot coming in. Let's just start with, will the greenery be available this year? And then what is the cost of the greenery? John, you can answer that too.
I'll take that one. The greenery is $139,000 to start. Depends if you are looking to get some training with us or launch services. That is something that we'll quote out based on where you are in the world, as well as farm camp if you want to bundle that in. It will be available this year. The Greenery S is in production now. So the first ones will be hitting the road for delivery in May. So if you are coming in right now, you still have a chance to get one delivered this year. We do have, I think right now, already a lot of people who have ordered their Greenery S. So I think we're looking somewhere between 4 and 6 months as a lead time. But we still have enough room left in the year if you are interested in getting going in 2021.
Great. And since this entire conversation was about our new model, and a lot of you heard that we have iterated on our container farming technology multiple times, a natural concern would be, as the upgrades kind of continue to move forward over the course of the next few years, how do you kind of take that into consideration for people who are kind of, say people choose to buy the Greenery S today, in 2 years from now, how do we take into consideration upgrades to the system, and how does someone stay current?
That's a great question, and actually a big part of what makes the Greenery S the Greenery S. So this is the kind of full iteration of the greenery. This is the engineered up version. When we talk about the S, it's the smartest version. It's the most streamlined version. And by being the smartest version, we're able to update these things over the air now. So when we think about like our analogous technology out in the world. This is something that can now get smarter over time. We can learn from things in the field and update that software. This is something we've tried out over the years, but now with the S, we actually have the tools in the farm to actually give you those efficiencies through those platforms that Eric had mentioned. So if you think about the pillars that Derek went through, each one of those has a new component and a new level that we've brought. So the air conditioning unit and the air control unit, that is a much higher level of control. Day one, it will have a set of ranges. Over time, we'll be able to expand those ranges now with farmhand integration. That's one example. Lighting is another. We have a range of lighting recipes for that day one will be available. Now we can actually over the air expand those rather than having to update the hardware every time. So this has been a long journey to get to this point, but the S and why we're so excited about the S is it creates this kind of platform expansion for everybody in the field. Just to create their own unique environment and share it with other people and have them realize what that unique environment is.
Great. Lots of questions around energy, and I kind of want to tackle a few of them. So one is how much energy is actually required to operate these farms. And I think the new features about like the energy modes are, can be probably easily overlooked, but this is one of the most incredible new features about the S because it really allows the user to have complete control over how much power you are using depending on your own mission or motivations. So can someone answer the energy consumption question, and then we'll talk about clean energy right after that.
I'll start and then I'll pass it to Eric to talk about modes a little bit and kind of what that does for us. So one of the things that was highlighted along the way is the LED. So the LEDs are one of the largest needs for electricity. That's where we are converting power into light energy, and light energy then get converted into matter and mass by photosynthesis. What we've been able to do with those boards and our new diode technology is, as Derek mentioned, we can get much more through. So we're almost using the same amount of power as the greenery, but we're getting so much more production through because of those efficiency gains. So it's very comparable to the greenery 2020 in earlier models, but we're able to actually just power more without creating more heat as well. Heat is the second place where we use energy to have to cool that inside to really get that precise environmental condition in each part of the farm. So without creating all that heat energy from the diodes, we're also able to keep pushing it harder without increasing the use of energy. So I'll pass to Eric to talk about how we kind of choose which mode to be in.
Yeah, so I don't have the exact kilowatt hours that we expect for some of these modes and some of these recipes. So I'll talk more generally about the modes. So we have these three modes, and essentially we set you in standard mode for most of the recipes because that's the mode that we've determined generates an optimal performance for the plant, right? We're trying to optimize this environment for the plant to be happy and create as much of that plant so you have the biggest harvest or the best harvest that you can get. If, for example, you have fairly cheap power, you might go up to the performance mode, right? If you're running on solar or wind and you have fairly cheap power, you may do that. That'll extend the growing day for the plant. So use a little more LED power for that. And conversely, if your power is particularly expensive, you might go down to the eco mode, or, I like this example a lot. If you're going to say, you know what, I have to take a week off, I'm going to turn down the power so that my harvest, the grow time is extended a little bit so I don't have to harvest for another week. Or conversely, if instead of taking a vacation, if your primary purchaser was saying, hey, look, I need to get something sooner or later than the anticipated harvest date, I could turn up or down the power consumption because that's essentially playing with the grow time for your plants. So you're able to do all that within the control panel of farmhand.
Awesome. Next question around energy consumption is related to clean energy, and I'm just going to take that because I know we're going to be running behind on time. Can we integrate with solar? Absolutely. We do not offer a solar package at the moment, but what we've done over the past year is actually partnered with this really amazing company called Arcadia. So our US-based farmers are able to connect directly into their service and access either solar or wind energy to power their farms. So they are incredibly efficient when it comes to their entire operation. They're removing a ton of transportation from the food supply chain, and they're removing the requirement to use a considerable amount of power. And yes, you can use water reclamation potentially in your system as long as it is filtered appropriately. All right, let's talk about inside climate and outside climate really quickly. So, question specifically about cold winters, well below freezing, and if the farm can operate in those type of temperatures, and if altitude actually has any effect on that. Third part of the question is going to be, what are the heating elements inside the farm?
I'll take the first two, Derek, if you want to take the HVAC unit. So one of the big upgrades of the cooling and heating, the HVAC unit in the back there, is to be able to operate very well under 0 degrees. The existing Greenery line is very good at doing a wide range of climates. But once you get below 0 degrees, you do have to build some type of enclosure, and that could be plywood. It could be something very basic, just so that those external coils don't freeze or don't get a snow blast into them. That's something we just took into account with the new Greenery S, is we need something that can really go that extra mile, extra range, as we're seeing places that we did not expect having below 0 this year. Texas, for one of them, anywhere around Texas. We did not expect those farms to have to deal with that. So that was something that we don't want to deal with again. That's why the higher range of HVAC is in play. Altitude, I gotta tell you, we've got a lot of people all over the world in all different altitudes. Ski resorts is a popular one for us. Haven't seen anything with altitude. So I would say no, but not 100% an expert on that. And we've never seen an issue with that this far. As far as the heating goes, the heating in the farm, I'll pass it to Derek.
Yeah, so the heating element, it's just an electrical coil that the air runs over. But to get into sort of why also, if that was part of the question, which if it wasn't, I apologize. But it's funny because I think, like, as John just said, these farms operate incredibly well in cold climates. Of course, the heating element will only expand our range in which we're able to operate really consistently and efficiently. But a huge aspect of adding the heating element was actually to be able to better control humidity. So by heating the air in certain ways, or heating or utilizing that heating element, we're able to pull more water out of the air, and then therefore the unit itself will be under less stress as it's operating with less water in the air. So that was a big part of the reason of why we added it, was just more control of the environmental conditions. One, to expand our range of cold areas, of course, but then two, just more finite control of the humidity itself. And it's just utilizing an electric coil within the HVAC unit.
Great. One more for you, Derek. Can you create different zones for different crops inside the farm, whether that is for watering, LEDs, sure, and nutrients?
So, we can create separate zones. We are limited to water zones and lighting zones at the moment as the most efficient and best way at the moment to condition what is a 320 square footprint room is to leave it as that, a full room, and condition the space as one environment. So we are limited in our atmospheric conditioning, but you would be surprised how many crops do enjoy a similar, whether it be 65 and, relatively dry environment. So that's something too that our Farmhand Academy and different services can help you sort of identify best plants and to grow sort of symbiotically together that are going to be able to feed off of each other in that sense. But when it comes to water and lighting zones, yes, absolutely. So within our nursery station, we have 2 water zones and 2 lighting zones. So each of those ebb and flow troughs are independently controlled. So you can have a different water cycle on either one of those. And then our cultivation area, the grow rows have 2 water cycles as well. Now, each of the nutrient conditions in that water is also 2 zones, but limited to one being the nursery station has 1 nutrient control, and the cultivation area has another nutrient control. And as I just said, within that, we have 2 water loops. So same nutrient in the cultivation, but 2 water loops, same nutrient, different nutrient in the nursery station, 2 water loops. In addition, we sort of have a similar philosophy with lighting. So within the nursery station, you have the ability to control the top and bottom trough lighting environments separately. And in the cultivation area, you're able to control the 2 grow row lighting environments separately. So we've singled them out so that those controls happen on the same unit, so that you're able to, create some form of recipes within the shared atmospheric conditions.
And the reason it's structured that way rather than for separate crops is it's structured that way to really focus on the different stages of growth. So as we go from propagation or germination, propagation, cultivation, and then did the different stages of cultivation per crop, there are different avenues that you can go. But we really want to maximize production in the farm, and that's how we separate it so that you're going on that fast track in each stage.
But you could very easily find a head of lettuce and edible flower that like the same atmospheric conditions, but would very much want different lighting environments, as utilizing a red light is going to make those flowers really bloom and prosper and initiate that photoperiod characteristic of those plants. And then you could run more of a blue light scenario over your lettuce and really harness, the color, the compactness and robustness of that crop. So you have some serious control even within some of these constraints.
Great. All right, Eric, farmhand question. Got a couple around security. So what kind of systems are in place to make sure that hacking doesn't happen? And then can access be limited to only those authorized?
Yeah, great question. So great questions. As the account owner, you can control who has access to your farm hand by inviting them or restricting their access. You can also restrict what things they can and cannot do in the farm. And the data is encrypted inside the farm before it goes to the cloud. So data is as secure as anything else on Amazon Web is, which is to say very secure. So your data is your data, and we're obviously going to do whatever we need to do to protect that.
All right, another specific one around water quality. Is that taken into consideration? And then what measures do you take if your water quality is not up to par?
Yeah, I can hit that one. So where you start out with water is very important. We do have the ability to connect you with a lab if you would want to test your water first to determine if you need RO water, reverse osmosis, so basically filtering it out first. If that is the case, we do offer 2 types of our solutions. So a normal type if you have, if your water's within the range, but if it's like well water or something that has a lot of stuff in it and you need to filter it first, we do have a portion of our nutrient line that is specifically made for RO water, and it will act the same exact way within the system.
Great. Okay, we are running out of time, but I really want to do a quick fun question really, really fast. Everyone's favorite new feature of the Greenery S, be succinct and short, which is not our forte. Ready, go. Derek.
You put me on the spot. Okay, the whole entire nursery station. I just am very excited to see the level of productivity elevated with that new station and all the features that we've implemented.
John.
I was gonna say that, but I would actually say the moving rows. I think on the first generations of the Greenery, those were a big hit, but they have really been upgraded from like an engineering level to be really smooth and nice. So I'm just really excited to see those in action.
And staying on on our biases here, I'm going for a software thing, the crops page, because I think, a lot of farmers have like little notebooks or whiteboards, or they write on pieces of the farm to track what's going on with their plants. So I'm super excited to have that all in software to cut down on work and lost data.
I'm also going to go software too, Eric. I'm on team software. I am so excited about the community aspect of farmhand, and just getting to see people really converse with each other and build on everyone's knowledge. Okay, so now we are wrapped up. This was recorded. We're going to send it back to you in a couple of days. If you have any lingering questions, we will tell you who your support or your account representative is. And the last plug is going to be for the next event, which is on May 13th. It's all about air. Dave Harris, who many of you may know from our past events, is going to be moderating that alongside myself. And we're going to really dive deep into all things air. So if you brought any questions about the HVAC system, let's talk about them in about 2 weeks. I can't believe it's going to be May. It's going to be May. All right. Thank you all to our speakers. Everyone have a great day.